Thank you. Hi, everybody. This is Calico, and this is ACIM Mind Training. And this is not a book study, folks, not even remotely. This is how to apply what we've been reading in A Course in Miracles. Because Jesus didn't write a book for us to read. He could have cared less. He did want us to apply these concepts. And this is where the rubber meets the proverbial road. And I have a beautiful example in my life that happened last week. Okay, so my commitment to myself these days is never to get more than 2 thoughts away from God. So when I'm in a judgmental place, I'm sure you can relate, it tends to loop over and over. They're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong. I'm right, they're wrong, I'm right. That's the way it looks like in my mind. It may look something different to yours. Or you may have an opinion that you want to shove down someone's throat. That's another one of my favorite ones in the past. And it's like, and so I'd repeat my opinion over and over and over again. And usually I went away hating the person. So I'm only going 2 thoughts away from God. Okay, so I may have a judgment, I'm hot. That's 1. And then I'll be going along and I'll think again, oh, I'm really hot. That's 2. Okay, now we've got to go to God. This is it. No more. Won't allow another thought to enter my mind that's judging or has an opinion or anything. Well, last week, I found myself judging somebody here at Namaste. And I knew I was right. And
Sure.
So I had to, and then, it even got, I didn't say anything, but she actually said it to me. So my projections are getting clearer and clearer. She said to me, I feel like there's something in the space between us, Calico. And I thought, yep, she's right. There is. I'm judging her. And all I said to her was, I'm working on everything is a lesson I must learn. Has nothing to do with you. You're a perfect holy child of God. But I still have this little problem that I judge. And so I set it up. This must have happened. It happened twice. Twice I had this thought last week. And so I set aside the entire weekend to go to God. It's like, okay, this is so not all right. I will not allow these thoughts in my head. It's not okay. So I went deep. And one of the things I use, one of my little techniques that I'll pass on to you if you find it helpful, ACIM Now, if you Google ACIM Now, on the very front page, if you just scroll down, there's a little spiral. And it's called the ACIM Oracle. Don't you love that? Well, I use that as, I've set it up for myself that Holy Spirit will get to me directly, So when I click on this little spiral, I really get it's specifically for me and it's specifically from Holy Spirit to help correct my mind. And so, there's a lot of noise outside. Can you hear this? Good, okay. Then it's mine to forgive. Okay, anyway. So anyway, I had these 2 thoughts and I set up the weekend and I went deep. And I was hitting the oracle a lot. I'd have these thoughts and I'd come to a pausing place and I'm going, I'll hit the oracle again to just see. Every time I hit the oracle, it was from chapter 22 and chapter 23. It was amazing. And so I really went deep in those two chapters. I thought, okay, Holy Spirit really wants me to get these two chapters. And it was something, okay, so, and this is, God, this was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember. It was a retreat with David. And I can't remember what I said, but I remember David's response. David's response to me was, Calico, you have got to embrace your invulnerability. And that stuck with me. Didn't have a clue as to what he was talking about or how to do that. Had no clue. Well, it came clear this weekend. And it came clear through these two concepts that we rattle around in ACIM a lot, the special relationship and the holy relationship. Well, I've never really thought much about those particular concepts. But then I went deep this weekend with Holy Spirit. And I was reading these chapters. And what it turns out, this, and I'm going to go more into this, but I'll just kind of set this up a little right now. The special relationship, I'm very clear with. I've had a special relationship my whole life with myself. I need, I want, I require. That's kind of the way I live my life. I need this, I require this, I want this. There are a lot of those. That's a special relationship. Well, what Holy Spirit was telling me in chapter 22 and 23, I must come to terms with my true desire. And I know we talked about the peace of God almost every session. And I have a desire for the peace of God. Usually it's single, unless I'm judging. But this took me much deeper. I need to move into a holy relationship with God. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. I think I can do this. We'll see. Hang in there with me just a second. Okay, Zoom. Share screen. Okay. Okay. Can you see this? Okay. All right. So here's the special. This is from James Twyman. We actually had a session this morning at Namaste that James led. It started 2 days ago. And James asked me to share, and I shared what I got about the holy relationship. Well, most people, and I know I probably, no, I don't know I triggered anybody, but there were some people that contacted James after I shared, and they were a little upset because they're in a couple. They're, woman, woman, man, 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 woman, whatever. They were in a couple, and they saw themselves as having a holy relationship. So when I said the only holy relationship I need is with me and God, it triggered a lot of response for James. Bless his heart. So we talked more about it today. And James, after sitting with it last night, he came up with this chart. So this chart is actually from James Twyman. So the special relation, and you can see it in your own life. Just look in your own lives. Where do you still feel like you want something? Where do you still feel like you need something? Where do you feel like you require something? I require people to hear me. I require my husband to love me. I require my children to be, to have respect for me, whatever. We all have these, and that's a special relationship. Well, in A Course in Miracles, what we're attempting to do is get to the holy relationship. Now you see at the top here, the special relationship, and then we have these three things. But in this second chart, it starts out with the desire for the holy relationship here at the bottom. So in the first piece here, with another. And this is where couples kind of, I'm sure you've heard them. I've heard them. Many people say, oh, I'm in a holy relationship. And I go, great. The problem is don't stop there. Don't be stingy. If you're truly in a holy relationship with someone, spread the love. Love everybody in the same way. But this is what hooked a lot of people in Jane's Zoom room that have claimed they're in holy relationships. See, they're seeing this as the pinnacle. And I was saying yesterday, no, not really a pinnacle. It's the first step, but not the pinnacle. So with another, and this is how I've done it for myself, because, I gave up on relationships a very long time ago. I was far too judgmental for them. I couldn't be with a partner without seeing error. Nah, that's not going to work. So I love them all. And I was with both men and women at different points in my life. The last person I was in a relationship with was a man, and I didn't want to hate him, and I didn't want him to hate me. So I just said, I think it's time for us just to move on, to find our true desire. And it was great. And that was the last relationship I was in. It ended, by the way, on September 11th, 2001. The Holy Spirit has a big joke with me. So, we made mad, passionate love, great love making, first thing in the morning. Then we turned on the news. Oh, shit. This isn't good. And then I really, it was so clear for me to let go of this relationship and really go for my heart's desire, which was to really have a relationship with God, to really move deeper with God and let all the other nonsense just go. So I dissolved this with another relationship. Then I moved into the relationship with myself. Now, this took me some time to dissolve. I was spent, I think, about 5 years at David Hoffmeister's place. I was the whole time working on dissolving myself. And, that was, man, it was hard. It was hard. And I never completed it. It wasn't until I got here at Namaste that I've been here at Namaste for 4 or 5 years. And it has actually been where I've done the bulk of my work, because I'm around people all the time. I've got all these many different personalities. Most of them are not A Course in Miracles. They're just different personalities. Well, for me, this is like being an alcoholic in a room filled with drinks. Everywhere, drinks. And so it really was okay, how much do you want this calico? How much do you want? And every one of them had been handled in the same way that these two thoughts that ran through my mind last week with judgment. And it was me, calico, thinking I was right about something. It's exhausting. Being calico is exhausting. You may say the same thing about yourself, but I know for sure being me has really been exhausting. And so that's why I gave myself 2 solid days to just be in prayer and contemplation, reaching out to Holy Spirit to help me see what this is about and what it is. And I've known this for a while, but now it's all kind of coming together. That if I have a judgmental thought, the only person that suffers is me. No one out there suffers. I do. Because I feel like I'm not being heard. Oh, I've got many beliefs that I've been dismantling over time. They're not hearing me. I take things personally. Why do they hate me? Oh, man. I've been through them all. But the reality, the person that doesn't approve of me is me. And it's a judgment against myself. And that's why we talk about, seeing everything as our projection and pulling back the projection, So if we see someone out there that's, oh, let's just say they're very loud. That's annoying. They're too loud. Pull back that projection. Oh, where am I too loud? Where am I not being in quiet contemplation? It's like, it's about me. Everything on this screen called the dream of death is about me. And it's a lesson I would learn. So in these holy relationships, if you have someone that in your life that's, oh yeah, we're in a holy relationship. I love this person. They're my soulmate. They're my twin flame. They're my everything. I love them. Here's the deal. Relationships are just a lesson, just like cancer was for me. I had to learn the lesson to forgive the dream. But now in a relationship, particularly if people are really saying they're in a committed, holy relationship, they're not done yet. And it's kind of like, keep going further, keep going deeper, because the lessons you will learn are in this framework called relationship. Because a holy relationship is where you see no error. You have no judgment. You you are just, the bluebirds are singing, and they're just singing and flying around your head with little streamers, and they're dropping flower petals on your head. That's what it looks like to see no error. And that's with yourself. So if you're, again, I'll use myself as the perfect example. If you're trying to dissolve yourself and you think, man, Calico, you should lose a few pounds. Guess what? It's a judgment. Or wake up in the morning, look in the mirror. Ooh, Calico, you're not aging well at all. Ooh, bad judgment. So this is where you got to dissolve these judgments about yourself. We're a holy, loving thought in the mind of God. In the mind of God. We're a loving thought in the mind of God. And God wouldn't want me to get up in the morning and look in the mirror and go, ooh, aging. Or God wouldn't want me to step on a scale going, oh, you have got to lose a couple pounds, Calico. God wouldn't want any of that judgment. So dissolving this self, for me called Calico, for you called whatever, really means I have to forgive me for being me. No matter what I feel like I've done, no matter what I think of myself. And this is deep stuff. Just look in your own life and see where you make yourself less than perfect. Now, it may come out as a judgment out there, and that's where you have to start. And I've been saying this more and more. And if you can't see your thoughts of stuff out there, listen to what you're saying. Because everything you let out of your lips was a thought to begin with. So if you're complaining about food being served, whoop, judgmental thought. You may want to rethink this. And I go back to David. David is so cute on this. He goes in, and I saw this happen all the time. He'd go into a restaurant, he'd order one thing, and they'd deliver something completely different. He never said anything. He would eat it. And he was quite content eating it. So it's kind of like, watch everything about yourself like a hawk. What are you sharing? You know, are you whispering about, oh, did you hear about Humma Humma? I heard they did Humma Humma. Ooh, ow, ow, ooh, stop. Walk away from yourself immediately. You'll end up having massive pimples on your butt or something. I mean, you know, that stuff results in pain somewhere for you. So there's dissolving the self, and I'm not saying this is going to happen. I've talked to several people. This is a commitment, like capital C, all caps, commitment, all caps. Commitment to God, to seeing yourself as well as every single other person as a loving thought in the mind of God. And the lessons are good. Don't push away from the lessons. All it is to recognize, whoops, there was a doozy. I just made that person wrong. I used to call it, oh, I'm kicking baby Jesus again. I don't do that anymore because that filled me with so much guilt. I couldn't deal with it. But it really is really not seeing the movie screen as Christ. Everything is Christ, no matter what it is. And there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to do. All there is for me to change my mind. I see some tears coming up and I just say, have the tears, let them come up. This is part of the healing process. Without the tears, we don't move through this. I've hated myself most of my life. And that showed up by me raging at other people. I didn't want to rage at myself. It was next to impossible to do. But I had to rage somehow because I had so much rage at who I was in the world. And so all I can say is stick with this. And when you and embrace those issues that come up, just like last week, whoop, there are two thoughts that I don't want in my head, and committing to do something about it. I'm going to spend 2 days with God and Holy Spirit, and we're going to sort this thing through. And I did. And I was guided to this whole special relationship, holy relationship. And really what I want is a holy relationship with God. And Holy Spirit will help us do that if we allow it. So every time those thoughts come through, you know, oh, there's one of those doozies. Don't push it away. Embrace it, going, Holy Spirit, look what I was just thinking. That's not okay. And I know you can help me see it differently. And then I just sit and listen to the guidance. And for me, it's oftentimes going to the oracle, because then I can read. And, you know, it's so interesting when I'm going through anything specific, all the passages are specifically to whatever I'm going through. So I know that I'm being guided in this process to dissolve calico. And it is happening. I mean, it's happening more and more and more and more, because I don't see form much anymore. I see minds, but I still get into trouble seeing minds, because then I want to correct the mind. Ooh, yeah, not a good place to be. That won't be helpful for anybody. And that's when I go to God. And then eventually dissolve God, just become one with God. I'm not there yet, but I get this is with Jesus. I think Jesus was in this category. He didn't doubt God. He didn't doubt God one iota. And he was forgiving everybody, even at the end, as they're nailing him to the cross. Forgive them. They know not what they're doing here. And that's really what A Course in Miracles is, a book that Jesus wrote to us, for us to correct our thinking. And all it is every step of the way is to see, I'm going to stop screen sharing, is to see where I'm making someone wrong. Or, I mean, it looks very different, or have an opinion, a strongly held opinion that I want you to hear. And if you're not hearing, then I'll judge you for not listening to me. I mean, it gets quite complicated. But the reality is, at this point, I've been doing it long enough. I don't need to go through all the various, incarnations of judgment for myself. It's pretty simple now. Quit making them wrong, Calico. This has nothing to do with them. This has everything to do with you. And it's a direct guidance to how to dissolve into the loving mind of God from whence you came. And then what does happen? Then I guess I'll become all Jesus-like. It's like really, it's, Adam in the Garden of Eden fell asleep. He never woke up. Well, guess what? Jesus is telling us how to wake up. That's what A Course in Miracles is. Wake up, silly little loving thought that you are. And so it really is for me to recognize when I'm in judgment towards myself or towards another. Opinion, I want it my way. You're not listening to me. Oh, there are all so many beliefs that I've had and had to correct over time. But it's a worthy pursuit. I can't find a more worthy pursuit to follow at this point. Because I know each time I grab hold of one of these judgmental thoughts and hang on for everything I'm worth, it's like riding that bucking bronco. Whoa! No, I'm right. They're wrong. No, but I'm right. They're not listening to me. Stop. And Holy Spirit's there just holding me as I'm flailing away. There was a thing on Facebook. Boy, I posted this many moons ago on my Facebook page. And it was a sweet little video. And it was of this animal rescuer. And he was sitting like in a vet's office on the floor. And there was this little dog that came in. Oh my God, must have been on the streets forever. I mean, it had scabies, no hair, thin. I mean, it was a mess. So this guy is sitting on the floor, cross-legged, and this little dog is throwing himself against the wall, terrified, just slamming himself into the table and the doors, and he's just frantic. And this guy's just sitting there like in a meditation. And the dog is just flailing. That's kind of like me when I'm right. Or when I want you to hear my opinion. That's me, throwing myself against the wall. And then this guy, as he was sitting there, and this went on for a while, at some point, this little dog stopped throwing himself against the wall, looked around the room, walked over to the guy, and just crawled in his lap. See, that's Holy Spirit waiting for us to quit flailing and go, oh, there's nothing wrong. It's only me that's making it wrong. And it's me that's throwing my body against the windows and the doors. And no, I'm right. Oh, I know this time I'm right. Honey, it's okay. It's a movie. It's a movie, and you believe it. And you make it personal. And then you get on your high horse and go out with your spears and banners. Yeah, I can see the little windmills. I'm right. Yeah. Well, it's me hitting the wall one more time, until I stop quietly in contemplation and go, now I'm a holy thought in the mind of God, period. So with that, And this is for all you YouTubers that watch this at different times. We're going to close the Zoom meeting out so that we can have some quiet time and we can just chat amongst ourselves. So with that being said, everyone have a wonderful moment. Don't you in Zoom room go anywhere. I'm just going to end the recording. Oh, and if you'd like to get on a link to the Zoom room, somehow get a message to me with your email address and I will send it to you and put you on the list. Now we're pause, stop